I'm David Radney. It's 8:30 and it's time to get started with script practice. What we do in script practice is we cover different scenarios that either you're getting when you're on the phone or actually at a listing appointment, and we're going to role play those out. What I want to do today is I want to do at the table objections. So I want you guys to think about being at a listing appointment and hold on one second. Oh, I'm sorry, Kim. I'm talking to the people on Instagram about sharing, not here in Zoom. Sorry, I wasn't clear about that. I was speaking to the people on Instagram to share. Sorry, I should have been clear about that. So I want you guys to give objections that you would get at the table. You're sitting down with the seller. You've done your listing presentation already. You know the motivation. You understand what's important to them, and they're going to give you some objections at the end. One thing I want you to know about objections, you shouldn't get frustrated when you get an objection. An objection is just a unanswered question in the mind of a seller, and it's keeping them from making a decision. They need some clarity, and they're asking, like, how would you handle this? And so you have to show them that you know how to handle it. One thing I want us to focus on is not making so many statements, but focus on asking questions. If you really want to be able to break through, asking questions is the way to go. So I want that to be your focus today. If you guys can really work on asking questions. So I'm going to assign this to people. However, I like to start off by saying who's going to be that brave soul that raises their hand and says, I want to be the agent. Give me an objection. I want to see if I can get a volunteer before I actually start assigning people. Come on, guys. You're here for a reason. Let me see. Who's going to be that brave soul that raises their hand and says, I'll role play. I'm going to count down. I'm going to give it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, let's go ahead and go. Olivia, you ready for me? Miss Olivia M? All right. So.
Good morning.
Oh, are you driving?
Yeah, but I can talk.
Okay, perfect. All right. So Stephanie Threat, can you give her an objection as if she's at the table, ready to close you? And then I want you to give her an objection. Let me just get my timer up because I want to make sure that we're giving just 90 seconds. You know, today let's do something a little different. Let's give 2 minutes because I have found that like right at the 90-second mark is when I'm seeing you about to break through and I have to stop the role play. So why don't we give it 2 minutes today and let's work on the objection. So Stephanie, throw it out to Olivia. Closing objection.
Okay, I have a question first, David. Am I a buyer or a lister? Listing my home.
You're listing. All we do on this call really is primarily focus on seller listings. Because that's my wheelhouse. That's what I did. So we really focus around that. Great question, though. Thank you. Yeah. So you're at the listing listing presentation.
Okay, great. So I see that the commission that you want to do is 6% or 7%, and I just heard that I don't have to pay the buyer agent. So why am I? Can you reduce your commission to maybe 3% or half?
Okay. So I do hear you when you say that. I guess you're probably, listening to the news and they are having conversations about sellers not having to pay a seller's commission. However, that's actually not anything new. Commission is always negotiable. You've never had to pay it. And of course, the decision is yours to make. But one thing I can say is that I have noticed that when a seller is paying a full commission, they have a lot more activity on their property. You're going to see a lot more interested buyers because of what you are offering to. That's not that great, but because of what you're offering. And one thing that I would ask, because I did also hear you say if I would lower my commission, why is that something that is a part of your decision making?
Well, I feel like that when you don't have to offer the other people any money, that was something that was tied into your total commission. So if we're not offering, the buyer agent anything, then I feel like that we can go ahead and cut yours because basically you were going to give it away anyway.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like what you're trying to do is you're trying to save money where you can. Is that what's important to you here?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. And I do have a question. So when we sell this house, right? Because we are going to sell this house. So when we do sell this house, what is your next move? What's the plan for you?
Yeah, so I'm probably going to downsize and take the proceeds from the what I get off of my home.
Time.
And
so, but I like that we gave it that extra 30 seconds. So right. I appreciate that. You know, one thing, Olivia, I want to point out, and I don't know if anybody else picked up on this. If I have my calculations correct, you were a minute into your talk before you asked your first question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
And it's all good. Listen, you're driving, you're working on your script. I get it. You're multitasking. I will tell you that for you and anyone else who's role playing today, I want you to focus on asking questions. And the main, what's the first question, Olivia, you think you should be asking someone that says, can we lower your commission down? I don't want to have to pay the buyer. What should be like your first question?
Well, why is that important to you?
Why is that important to you? Other than the commission, is there any other reason you wouldn't list your house with me? Should we be isolating and making sure that's all we're dealing with? Those are two questions, Olivia, I think you could bring up in the beginning. And then the last question you were ending up with, like, why are you selling? Where are you going? I bring that up a little bit earlier. Like, if you could dig into the motivation earlier, it'll help you have that discussion around commission. So good job there. I thought the discussion was good. You seem very natural, very calm. And like I said, you're driving too. So that was really good. Lead with more questions would be my only feedback for you. All right. Stephanie, I'm going to have you now be the agent. And I'm going to have Alberto give you a seller objection. Where, guys, remember, we're sitting at the table. We're at the listing appointment. We're getting objections. So let's go ahead and role play that out. Alberto, I'd like you to give Stephanie an objection. And Stephanie, you get 2 minutes.
Okay.
Stephanie, I understand what you're saying, but really I had to pay 4% in commission only. I can afford pay more than that.
So you're saying that the commission is going to be the deciding factor in this decision to list with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think you don't do too much. You put the listing in the MLS and that's it. Wait 30 to 45 days. And at the end of the day, you get a big check. I don't have to pay a big commission.
Okay. Well, that's not quite how it works, but I can understand that's what you see as being out in the public. You'll see a listing, a sign in the yard, and you may even run across it on Realtor.com. But there's a whole lot of things that we do in the background to attract your property and position it where someone is interested in coming to see it. So tell me your experience when you purchased your house. How did you find your home?
Well, I bought it from a friend of mine. He gave me a big discount.
Okay. So tell me, with your friend giving you a discount, what made you not talk with him or them to list your home?
No, I mean, it was for sale by owner, and he was my neighbor. So he was moving out of the state. So he moved to California.
Okay. So you're saying you got a really great deal on your home. Is that what you're telling me?
Definitely. It was 15 years ago.
Okay. And so do you think that your home appreciated in a way that you would want to give someone else that same deal, or do you want to get the most out of your equity of your home?
No, definitely. I mean, in 15 years, I appreciate a lot, and I check in Zillow that my price went up a lot. For that reason,
so let me ask you something else. If you bought it as a for sale by owner, what made you not go to for sale by owner again? Like you listed it for sale by owner.
I mean,
let me pause. Let me pause.
Okay.
I think that was interesting though, where you were going with that question right there about like, why are you not being a for sale by owner? I thought you were going down the interesting road, and yet your 2 minutes was up. I want somebody to give Stephanie some feedback. Bamika or Pete, I see Pete on here. Ashley, Brianna, you guys have any feedback from Stephanie on how she handled that commission with Alberto? Anybody can unmute.
I missed the beginning part, so
okay, no worries, no worries.
I just think she
did like how. Oh,
I'm sorry.
She doesn't need to be offended. I felt like she got offended when he said, "You guys don't do anything. You just put on the MLS and you don't do anything." I just need. I mean, like, just control the emotion when they attack you, because they are not for you personally. That's what I feel like. It just. They just need more information.
Okay.
Yeah. And you could even get on their side, like, you know, that's so frustrating to hear, because we really do a lot, but there are some agents and all they do is just kind of open doors and collect the paycheck. So I agree with you. There are agents like that. And I probably would pay them 4% too. And yet I'm different. Can I show you what I do differently than most agents? Like I would flip that, but I would get on their side and like, I understand why you're frustrated. Ashley, go ahead.
What I was going to say was there was a moment that she asked the question. He said, "Oh, I got it for a big discount." And she asked the question like, "Oh, so are you looking to give that same discount out?" I really just wanted her to like kind of ask more questions around that. Really, I thought that's where she was going to go, because once he said, "No, I'm not looking to give a discount. I'm looking to get more equity in my home," maybe she could have been like, "Exactly. So if you're not looking to give a discount, why would you, like want a discounted agent that's not going to get you the most equity in your home? You want to get the most equity possible."
Got it. Wow, Ashley, you're giving me a crook in my neck. I felt like I had to look up to look at you because you had your phone down. I'm like, what? All right. So
I have something to add too, if you can hear me all right.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go.
Awesome. So it sounded like you were starting to go in the direction of like, when you bought your home, did you pay a commission when you bought it as the buyer? And we know most know. And he kind of tripped you up a little bit by saying he bought it for sale by owner. So I think where you could have went with that from there is to go, well, where do you intend on purchasing the next house? And do you intend on paying a buyer commission there? So kind of like drawing that parallel, like you're paying it or saving it one way, like either way, like, and when you buy and sell homes, it comes out even in the wash, because you're paying it on one end and saving it on the other regardless. So just some scripts or some dialogue around that, I think could be good.
Yeah. And I also saw on the Instagram here, Michelle gave you some feedback. You know, try not to cut off the seller. You kind of cut him off a couple of times when he was talking. And so she was saying, try not to cut him off. And here's what I want to say about that. A lot of times we're so busy thinking about what to say and how to respond, we cut them off. But when we are thinking about what to say and how to respond, we're not really hearing them. We're not really listening. So what I would say is really make sure you're hearing them out before you respond. And that's why it's so important to have these scripts internalized, because you don't have to think about what to say. You know what to say. Good job, though, Stephanie. Alberto, I know you have one last comment. You're welcome. Thank you. Alberto.
Yeah, something that I want to add is we have to deep down more in the motivation, because in that way we need to find out what is the urgency to sell the property or not, all the for sale banners. No, I had a lot of time to do that, but the motivation is the most important thing. Is okay, you wanna take your time, but on the other side, you are gonna get a new job in a couple of months. So are you gonna spend 6 months more right here?
Got it. That's very true. Very true, Alberto. Alberto, stay unmuted because you're going to be the agent now. Matt, if you're able to unmute, I'd love for you to be the seller and give him a listing. You're at the listing table. He's ready to close. I want you to give him an objection.
Okay.
All right. Let's go. Ring, ring.
Ring, ring.
Alberto, hello, Alberto. I appreciate your
phone or at the table. I'm sorry.
No, we're at the table. We're at the table.
Yeah. Okay.
Alberto, listen, I appreciate everything that you've bought with you here today. However, I feel like with some of the other agents, is a little stronger. And maybe we'll have to call you back.
So what is important to you about a stronger agent? I confuse, Pete. Matt, I'm sorry. Tell me more about it.
Well, I mean, they came with a very good presentation like yourself. They seem pretty knowledgeable about the area. I mean, all of you do. I'm looking for somebody who's, going to be a little bit of a go-getter.
Tell me
Is
more
that
about
you?
what do you, yeah, and definitely. I mean, that's the reason why I'm here today. But what do you mean go-getter? I mean, I show you in my plan, in my presentation, all the things, the 183 things we do for a seller. So the most important thing at the end of the day is sell your house. And beside that, what is holding you to sign with me today?
Well, I mean, you've kind of like you showed me how, but I don't know like what exactly you're going to do. Like what's set? Like I'm not really sure what should make me select you over the other ones I've interviewed.
Yeah, specifically because I an active agent. I'm every single day calling people, 10, 20, or even 50 people, asking them if they want to buy your house or they want to sell their house. Because the most sign I get in the area, the most calls I get, and when I get most calls, I'm gonna see your property faster, for the top market price. That's how I'm at.
I mean, yeah, I kind of heard something similar to that before.
Yeah.
Again, I think my level of comfort's going to come with the confidence that I have in the agent that I select, and I'm not sure if I know that answer yet.
No, definitely. I agree with you. I mean, most of the agents say the same thing, but it's a difference between saying and doing. As I told you, I'm an active agent, asking every single day, asking at your neighbors, asking them if they want or they know someone that is coming to your neighborhood.
All right, Alberto, you're done. All right, so I need some feedback from Alberto, guys. What should he have said? Talk to me. Brianna, give me some feedback for Alberto.
Honestly, I think you did great. I think that you wanted to kind of satiate his concerns and address his concerns, but I think you also needed to kind of be more aggressive with how you addressed those concerns. I think you came off as friendly and very nice, but I think that Matt as a client was looking for somebody a little bit more gung-ho aggressive. Here's why you choose me. And I feel like reading that situation might have gotten you that listing because he's still talking to you. He still wants to talk to you. He's still giving you and entertaining you as far as this meeting is going. And I think that if you had shown a little bit more just aggressiveness, not in a bad way, but just more like, hey, I get that I'm up against 13 agents. Here's why you choose me. Take it or leave it. I think if you had been a little bit more concise about that, I think that you'd have gotten that listing.
Thank you, Brianna.
Love it. Love it. And so in my mind, anybody else thinking, well, Matt, if you interviewed all these great agents, why am I here? Why didn't you list with them? Did anybody else think about that? Because I thought about
exactly.
that.
But that's why he's still talking. Like he still had him on he saw a conversation. Like Matt's not saying I'm not going to choose you. Yeah. He's just saying, why should I?
And I think if we said to Matt, like, hey, if those agents were so great, why am I here? Why didn't you hire them? Because there was something that kept him from pulling the trigger. So find out what that is and then address it. However, one thing I do want to say, if you guys want to write this down, there's a lady, her name is Lisa Nichols, Nichols. And if you look her up on YouTube, she has a video called Snap, SNAAP, Snap. It's kind of like the elevator pitch, your unique selling proposition. Why should I hire you? We need to have that answer because basically what Matt was saying is, I don't know why I should hire you. I haven't heard it yet. And I think we need to have something that's like in our back pocket that we can pull out and say it with confidence, say it with your chest. That's what Matt was looking for. And Alberto, no, this feedback is coming from a good place. You were just like, I don't understand. What do you mean? Like, I would have been like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm your guy. And let me tell you why. When people hire me, these are the results they get. And that's why you want to hire me. You didn't hire those other agents because you knew in your gut they weren't the right one. I'm here and I'm ready. Let's go. Sign the paperwork. Like, I want us to say that with confidence. However you say it, I want us to work on our snap. So when someone says, like, why should I hire you? We need to have an answer. We need to close them because they're looking to hire a great agent that can close the sale of their home. If we can't close the seller, then we are showing them we're the wrong agent. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's why we are here.
Yeah, my man. And I love the fact that, Alberto, you always raise your hand. You're asking questions. That's why you get better and better, because you're involved. You're playing the game. That's all we need to do. So thank you.
And thanks to you.
All right. So Matt is now going to be the actual agent, and I'm going to throw. I was going to choose David Gossett, but I'm not doing that because nope. I'm going to choose Beverly. David, I'm coming for you though. Beverly, was your hand raised because you want to be the seller, or did you have a question? I'm sorry, I just saw your hand.
I was volunteering.
Okay, perfect. So I want you to actually be the seller, and I want you to give Matt an objection. Let's hear something that we haven't heard before already, because we've talked about commission a few times. If you have something else that you can give him as an objection, let's go for it.
Okay, so we're at the table, and you already had the listing presentation, and I'm the seller deciding, right?
Yep, he's closing. For everybody else that moves forward, you are at the house, you've done your presentation, you have said, will you sign the paperwork and list with me? And now they're giving you an objection. Your job is to overcome that objection and close. So yes, give him that seller objection, Beverly.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Okay, well,
not ring, but just go. Not ring, ring. I'm sorry. I know I'm throwing you off with that. Sorry. Okay. Just go ahead and give him the objection.
Seller, I'm waiting, yeah.
Well, no, you're the
giving
seller,
me an objection.
so you have to give him the objection, Beverly.
Oh, okay. I thought he was ready to ask me, are we ready to sign yet? Or okay. You know what, Matt, I think, it was nice meeting you. You're sound like a great guy, but at this point, we're going to stick with trying to sell it ourselves.
Okay. Tell me more about that. What's got you feeling that way?
It's a lot of money, and I think we can do it. We've had experience in the past. I heard what you had to say, and I appreciate it. I think that we can do it ourselves. And money's important.
Okay, so what you're saying is netting the most amount of money is important to you.
Right.
Okay. So what about my presentation gives you more certainty that you can absolutely navigate this on your own?
We really know how to do everything that you explained to us. We didn't hear anything different. So I think we're pretty good. We've had experience before. Don't get me wrong. If it doesn't work out, we'll contact you at a certain time, but I think we can do it ourselves. I do appreciate your help though.
Excellent. And what's your time frame that you're looking to complete the sale in?
We're trying to get out of here into our new house by Thanksgiving.
By Thanksgiving? Okay. Well, Beverly, I don't know if you know this, but do you know what the real estate timeline is?
What do you mean by timeline?
So a real estate timeline, our calendars are actually not the same as everybody else's. In fact, right now we're in July. That means in real estate world, hi baby. In real estate world, we're in October, September, which means that we need to start actively marketing your property. And if you're telling me that you feel pretty confident in your ability to do that on your own right here and right now, I'm pretty concerned. And in fact, that's a major red flag. You're not going to hit your zone and your spot. And you're also have a great potential of leaving money on the table. So why don't we do this? Why don't we set up another appointment? You've taken another look at me and you have a look at my presentation. What about leaving money on the table is concerning to you?
All right, I'm gonna stop you there. All right, so pause. I need some feedback from Matt. So let's see here. Who do I want him? Ashley, if you're able to give some feedback, you can unmute. Renee or Ariane, if you guys can unmute and give some feedback to Matt.
Ashley Davidson or me?
Oh, I forgot Ashley. Davidson. I forgot I had two on here. Sorry. Well, let's go with Ashley Augustine. Let's go ahead, Ashley. You go ahead and give him some feedback.
So I love the fact that he brought in the real estate timeline, because I thought it was just like genius, because I never even thought to tell them that. We only think about it for us, but for them too. Like, we're in October. So if you have a deadline in November, you've been on a for sale by owner how long? I'm sitting here. You want to start thinking about that. I thought that was great. I just thought if he
I think that we all could work on, especially myself, trying to get it into the 21 questions game, right? Trying to get them to answer those questions for you, right? Because then you go, did you know that or whatever? I don't know how we could do that, but I feel like we tell, like everyone I've been hearing, especially, I feel like we're telling them what we want them to do instead of making them come to that conclusion themselves. And I wonder, how can we work on that?
Yeah, I hear that. And I will agree with you. I've never heard anyone do what Matt did with the real estate timeline and bringing that up. I thought that was pretty genius too. I've never done that. I say it all the time, but I only say it to realtors, not to sellers. So Matt, that was really good. Beverly, are you able to unmute real quick? I wanted to ask you something because you said to Matt, like, you know, we're going to sell it ourselves. Like it's too expensive to use you. And Matt was asking questions. I want to ask you a question. I want to kind of just do a quick little role play. I just want to see where you would take it. So Beverly, I completely appreciate what you're saying. The money's more important to you. Let me ask you, is it the commission you're paying me, or is it what you net when you sell the house? How much money you put in your pocket? What's the most important thing to you?
It's what I put in my pocket.
It's what you put in your pocket. I completely hear you. And I also hear you saying that you can sell this house on your own.
Right.
I don't disagree. I absolutely know that you can. So I'm not here to tell you can't sell this house. My question, Beverly, is if you sell this house and later on you find out you left tens of thousands of dollars on the table, how's that going to make you feel?
Not happy.
Not happy. So I get how you feel about commission. However, it's really not about commission. It's about what I do for you and how much more money I put in your pocket. If I could sit down and show you what I've done for other for sale by owners and how they ended up making more after paying my commission, I'm sure you would be open to that, since what you net is the most important thing, right?
Yeah, sure.
So if I can show you that and you see that by hiring me, you'll make more money, is there any other thing that would keep you from listing with me tonight?
No, show me.
That's what I would say. I don't know if that would work. That's what I would say. I would take it down and really talk more about commission versus netting. What was your feedback, Beverly?
I had to say, and Ashley was saying, talking about asking more questions, which I fully agree, which is what you did. Matt didn't just present to me the real estate timeline. He asked me, he said, have you heard about the real estate timeline? And I love that. That's how we have to be. We have to ask first instead of throwing them information. He asked me if I heard about it. And I was like, what? No, he ignited some curiosity in me. I was like, what? Tell me, I want to hear, so he did do that.
He also gave himself some time to think. The first thing he said to you was, tell me more about that. I think that's perfect. Like we want the seller talking, because the more information they give us, we're able to figure out what to say and how to respond. So his first thing the man said was, tell me more about that. When he said that, I was like, yes, that's what I want to hear. Tell me more about that. Alberto, go ahead.
Yes, the other thing that we can use is, Mrs. Seller, are you aware that 90% of the for sale by owners end up working with the realtors, because usually they live in the table between 17 and 20%. That means that you can pay my commission and end up with more money in your pocket.
Yep, you're absolutely right. All right, so Beverly, you are the agent now, and David Gossett, you are the seller. And so just throw out an objection to Beverly, and let's see how she overcomes that.
Beverly, I appreciate everything you've shared with me this evening, but I still feel like I can sell this home on my own.
Okay, David, I can hear what you're saying. Other than thinking that you could sell it on your own, is there anything else that would have been holding you back from us signing the agreement to go forward?
Yeah, I mean, I know you say you're a 6% agent, and this is $1 million home, so that's a significant amount of money that I would be paying you for something that I think I can do on my own because the market's so high.
I completely understand your concern. It sounds like you're concerned about what you net more in the long run. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
So help me understand, if that's your concern, what you earn at the end, what the difference is, whether it sounds like you're concerned more about what you earn at the table and what your check is at the end, as opposed to what a success rate for professional success rate would be for me. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're successful and you have a great success rate, but for me, it's how much money am I walking away with so that my next situation, solid.
Okay. Just remind me again, your timeline of when you wanted to get to your next place, your next journey. I forgot what your motivation was to
As
say.
soon as possible. I mean, I've got to get down to Florida because I have a sick family member. So I want to sell as quickly as possible.
I completely understand. And tell me what your experience is with selling a home by yourself.
I've had an income property. I have income properties. I've sold one of my income properties before. I don't have an extensive amount of experience, but I know how to do it.
Okay. Now, David, just imagine, let me ask you, just imagine your house is still on the market 6 months from now. You're still trying to sell it on your own. How is that going to make you feel?
That's not going to make me feel good at all. That's not part of my plan. I need to sell and move on.
Okay, so I'm a little stuck.
Okay, and your time is up anyhow. So
I know, I beat you a while ago.
I was giving you a couple more seconds. Dave, give her some feedback, man. What do you think?
I think she was great at asking questions. And I was just thinking about mirror and matching. And it's funny because even though we're role playing, like my dog's barking, the phone's ringing, and I just want to sell my house, right? I need to sell my house, lady. So like, just tell me you can sell my house and you can do it for me and you can make me more money than I would make on my own.
And I got things were happening here too, and I had somebody texting me, and my mother-in-law came in, so I may have missed if you asked this question, Beverly. But what I heard David say before I got distracted is, I got to sell this property quickly. I got a sick family member that I have to get to, right?
Yeah.
So when you start talking about motivation, to me, that's an emotional reason that he's selling this home. Did you happen to ask him, David? Let me ask you, what happens if this home doesn't sell and you're not able to get to the sick family member? What's that look like? I don't know if you asked him that or not.
She was getting to it when we ran over time. You gave her some time and she said, like if your house is still on the market for 6 months. But I think that's why mirror and match is important. Usually I'm way more laid back, right?
Yeah.
Like that's my style. But I was muting the button because the dog
I
was
know.
and I was just like, I was frantic. So I think if she had matched that energy a little bit, it would have helped because she would have kind of gotten to the groove of like, okay, we're in a frantic situation. And then the sick family member, that's it right there, right? Like, okay, like we got to get you to your sick family member.
Yeah,
I
because I'm
think a little too late. I did say, just imagine if your house doesn't sell 6 months from now, how would that make you feel?
Yeah.
But it was too long into the conversation before I got to that.
And I know you guys only have 2 minutes, so we're rushing through, but I was thinking like the minute he said a sick family member, kind of like Matt. David, tell me a little bit more about that. What do you look like? Tell me about that and dig into it. What's important to you about being there for that family member? What does it mean if you're not able to get there because this home hasn't sold? By asking these types of questions, you know what we're doing? We're creating pain for the seller. And you guys understand that people are running towards pleasure or they're running away from pain. So we create some pain by saying like, what happens if it doesn't sell? What happens if you can't get there? What happens if you have to leave this house and move there because they really need you, but then you don't have someone here taking care of this property for you? We can go down so many roads with that. We just got to dig into that motivation a little bit more. Good job, Beverly. I'm going to go to Matt and then Lauren. Alberto, I'm going to skip you on this one because you've spoken a few times. I want to give enough people time to speak. So I'm going to go to Matt first and then to Lauren.
That's fine.
Yeah, Beverly, your best question was, when the house doesn't sell in 6 months, how's that going to make you feel? That was your best question. And I love that I like that you struggled with a question and you just kept trying to formulate the words to put the sentence together, and you didn't become unwavered and unfazed. And you'll remember that because next time you try to do that script again, you'll push through and you'll be like, oh, I struggled with this before, but this is easier now. So you're definitely getting better at asking questions, but that was your best question. Stick to that really good script.
Confession in front of all you guys, I think I choked a little. Like if I was really talking to somebody on the phone, I probably would have been paying more accurate attention to what the other person was saying. I got to be honest, I didn't even hear about that family member being sick until after the fact. Yeah, I choked because I'm in front of all of you guys.
Hey,
Yeah.
Beverly, though, this is where you come and you choke. We want you choking here and figuring out what to say. We don't want you choking in front of your actual client. So I think it's fine, and you learn from that. So thank you for being open and vulnerable. Thank you for playing. It's a lot of pressure in front of your peers. It's all good. Lauren, what's going on? I'll give you a second to unmute.
Thank you.
There you go.
I think you did really good, Beverly. I think that was I think you got flustered at the very end. I think you asked a question, and I think your next question would have been like the close. Because I think saying like, okay, if it takes you 6 months, how comfortable would you be? He goes, not good at all. I think that's where you were just overthinking it, but you were there because pretty much saying like, okay, so hear me out. Because I have a plan that I could get you there way sooner. You won't be 6 months. Like there's a lot of avenues you could have gone down. But I think you did good. You asked a closing question, and then you kind of overthought yourself to go next because I thought you were there.
Perfect. Thank you. And David, are you free to role play?
Yep.
Matt, did you have another question, or did I not take your hand down from before?
No, I'm sorry. I just put my hand back up real quick. I wanted to share something. So I do what's called the 3-strike rule. So if you ask a question that creates curiosity and like moves that client towards the close, if you do it once and you get progress, you do it twice, you get progress. On the 3rd strike, close. If it doesn't work, do it again. 1 strike, 2 strike, then close again, right? So that this way you can stay structured in how you ask your question. So maybe you ask like pain point motivation 1, ask a question, ask a follow-up question to that question, go for close. Doesn't work, try something else.
I like that. Pete, are you able to role play right now?
Let's do it.
All right. So Pete, I want you to give David an objection. You're the seller, Pete. Give David an objection, and David's got 2 minutes to overcome it. Let's go.
Hey, David, awesome, man. Listen, I appreciate you coming out. Everything sounds good, but I mean, we're going to save the commission by selling it ourselves. So I think we're going to stay for sale by owner now, and we'll let you know if anything changes.
So what I'm hearing you say, Pete, is you're going to do for sale by owner because you want to net the most amount of money?
Yeah, man. We've had it on here for 2 weeks now. We're still getting calls and stuff. So yeah, I think we're just going to ride this one out.
Okay. And Pete, remind me again, where are you going once you sell this property?
Yeah, we're getting down to out to Arizona.
Out to Arizona?
Tell me
a little bit more about that. What's going on in Arizona?
Man, we're just tired of the cold weather. It's just, too expensive here. So we've got all this equity in the house. We're going to cash out and go enjoy the rest of our lives out in Arizona. We've got family out there. So.
Okay. So we got to get all the equity we can out of this house and get you to Arizona. Pete, if I told you that even if you paid me a commission, I could net you more money, tens of thousands of dollars more than you would net selling it by yourself. Is that something that you'd be interested and open-minded to discussing further?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, if you can show me that you're going to get me more money at the end of the day, I mean.
Okay. Because are you familiar with the percentage of for sale by owners who actually end up listing with the real estate agent after having their home on the market?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, 90% of for sale by owners actually end up listing their home after having it on the market. They end up listing with an agent. So what I want to do is get your property listed, right? Get you to Arizona and get you there with the most money. Let's do that today. And let's make it happen, Pete.
Yeah, man. I mean, I hear what you're saying. So what happens if like this doesn't sell for more than what I could get it for on my own?
Well, that's not going to happen, Pete, because I've never been happier. I've never been happier for a timer to go off of my life.
I know that's right, David.
I got a little
saved by the bell.
Saved by the bell, literally. I got a little stuck right before when I was like, "Oh, all right, let's do it." I kind of got lost in my own thought.
So, David, I learned this script a long time ago that I used, and I found it very effective. When you have someone like Pete, where they're like, "Yeah, if you can give me more money, but what if you can't?" I turn around and say, Pete, I completely hear you. here's what I'm going to do. I've already outlined all I do to sell properties. So, you know, the professional photos, the staging, the broker opens, the open houses, the social media ads, you know, everything I'm going to do. So, Pete, here's the deal I'll make with you right now. You go ahead and put me to work for free. I'm going to do all those things for you. I'm going to bring you an offer, and I'm going to bring you an offer that you're willing to accept. On the off chance it's not a great offer, guess what? You don't pay me anything if I don't bring you an offer that makes sense for you. So you don't, it's a win-win. You'll never lose. You don't pay me if I don't execute a contract for you. So let's go ahead and do the right thing. Put me to work, because I know you want to hurry up and get to Arizona. I definitely know you don't want to be here for another Jersey winter. So will you sign the paperwork so I can get to work for you? Like, that's what I say. And what's interesting about that script, the sellers always eat it up. Like, you're willing to do all this stuff for me and it costs me nothing if you don't sell the house. But that's what we do anyhow. I'm just telling them exactly what we do as real estate agents. We spend all our money. We do all this marketing. We show the property. We do open houses. We review contracts. If we don't bring them an offer that they're willing to accept, we don't get paid anyhow. But the way you serve it up to them, the way it sounds is like, of course I'll list with you. I have nothing to lose. And so with like a for sale by owner or any seller, when you flip the script like that, you'll find them willing to sign the paperwork. I recommend you guys give that a shot. Matt, give me some feedback.
I love it. I mean, I'm a little biased here because I role play with my partner all the time. But hey, David, if I were to tell you, if the last one, I would just say, go right to your Socratic style question, that how-based question. How can I possibly know if you're going to get more money for your home than I will if I don't list your property first? Right? Ooh, okay. Now we're going to take a different angle. So I would just jump right back into trying to put yourself in the driver's seat. You would have done it, had more time.
Love it. Love it. So, Renee, are you willing to be a seller and give an objection? See if Renee Lord is available to unmute, if she's willing to be a seller. No pressure if you're not. Give 1 second, 2 seconds, 3.
Sure.
All right, Renee, that's what I'm talking about. So I want you to give an objection to Pete. Pete's going to be the last role play that we do. What I want you guys to be willing to do after Pete is talk to me about a situation you had either on the phone this week or at a listing presentation this week, so that we can help you with that and we can role play out that scenario. So we're going to do one last final role play with Pete. Renee, when you're ready, just go ahead and throw him out an objection, and I'll start the timer for 2 minutes. You can go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sell it myself. I just think I can get it done. And my children's father is a realtor, so if I have any questions, I'll just call him.
All right.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, let me ask you, Renee. I mean, listen, first of all, I agree with you. I absolutely know you can sell this home on your own. I'm just curious, what has you selling the home on your own? Like, what's important? What's most important to you about selling it on your own?
I just been around him for so long, so I think I kind of got it. And again, I mean, I have access to him, so I'll just give him a call and go from there. But I just kind of think I can do it.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I absolutely know you can do it. And let me ask you, I mean, what had you selling it on your own as opposed to hiring, your children's father to sell it for you in the first place?
Just so I can possibly do it. I mean, I guess I want to challenge myself. I've been around him, like I said, for a very long time, and I've been on different listing appointments with him. And I used to kind of help him with some work, like, if he needed me to do papers. So I heard so much about it, and I've been, when you kind of do something for so long, it comes second nature. So I think I have a good idea.
Gotcha. And I hear what you're saying. And, with all due respect, Renee, I've been doing this job for 9 years, and I'm learning new stuff every single day and coming across new challenges that I've never experienced before. And I support you. Again, I think you can 100% sell this home on your own. And if you're just looking for a challenge, well, you've definitely got your work cut out for you. But let me ask you, what does it look like if maybe you do get the home sold because you take on that challenge? And you come to find out a few months from now that you actually left tens of thousands of dollars on the table. I mean, how would that make you feel?
Dang, I kind of will be disappointed.
All right, I'm pausing right there. Pausing right there. Okay. That was an interesting one. I've never had a FSBO be so committed. Like, listen, I just want to challenge myself. Let me see what's up. There was two words that Renee kept saying. Anybody else pick up on the two words she kept saying?
The kinda.
I think. That's what I kept hearing her say. She said it about 5 times. And in my head, I was going to say to Renee, like, Renee, I keep hearing you say, I think I can get this property sold. What I want to tell you is I know that I can get it sold. And more importantly, I know that even after you pay my commission, you're going to walk away with more money in your pocket. So I guess my question is, because I want to be respectful of you, what's more important, selling the home and making sure you make the most money possible, or just having the bragging rights to say you sold your own home? What's the most important thing?
Selling the home.
Selling the home and making the most money?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Renee, listen, I have to tell you, real estate is simple. It's not easy. And I know you've been in that area for a lot of years, with your ex-husband or your baby's father. I get it. And yet, I heard something, and please don't be offended by this, but they were like, only a fool represents themselves in court. Like even a lawyer wouldn't represent himself. And I have to tell you, Renee, when I sold my house, I'm a real estate agent. I hired a real estate agent to sell my house. And it's because I know that emotions can get involved and I could end up costing myself money. And I was looking through it through a certain lens, and that agent I hired was able to see things differently, and they ended up making me more money. So if I can demonstrate to you that I can help you make more, would you hire me to sell your home?
Putting it like that, I guess I would hire an agent, but I would probably go with my children's father if I had to really hire an agent, since there's one already in the family.
I completely understand that. So that's a whole nother objection. I don't want to get into that one now because I want to save some time to really talk about what we need to talk about before we wrap up. But we need to be able to handle that. Like I got a relative in the family who's an agent.
Yeah, I had that one. That's why I used it.
Well, the key is we always got to keep in mind, Renee, they didn't hire that person. If that person was really the best option, they would have hired them. Yes, they feel some pressure because they're a relative, but if they were the best option, they already would have been hired. And that's what you got to keep in mind. There's something that's keeping them from pulling the trigger. You got to dig into that and find out what that is. Matt, did you have something you wanted to add to the role play?
Just a little bit of feedback. That's all. I would have just what's cool is when you said you had the ex-father-in-law, I guess you have family member that's related, and then you said you wanted to challenge yourself. I love Pete goes right after the money because I like pulling on that one too. But I would have just compared like, oh, you want to challenge? Great. So how busy was he? How much work did he do? Can you tell me what that was like? And then I'm trying to paint the picture of like how this person's not going to have the amount of time to commit like you as a full service agent would be able to give them. And then when they realize that pressure is too much, that's when insert close.
All right. But I thought Pete did a good job. Good job with the role play, guys. For sure. For sure. All right. So last week we had this conversation about when I was asking for objections and scenarios, nobody was really raising their hand. And I challenged you guys to actually get on the phone and start making some calls. So for those of you who have been making calls this past week, what's an objection that you got or scenario that came up in the role play that you had a hard time navigating that we could talk about today? So Matt, I'm coming to you after Debbie because I want to give someone a chance to speak that hasn't spoken yet. Debbie, what's up? Give us that objection.
Okay, so I need help. I called on a FSBO like a month ago. And, I've been following up with him, somewhat building rapport. The last time I spoke to him, which was probably a few weeks ago, he didn't answer. I left him a voicemail. I said, hey, I know you were saying 2 months. So it's like a month later, I'm just checking in on you. And he sent me a text message back like the property's been sold. So I text him back like, hey, congratulations, on to the next one. This is someone who's local, so I kind of want to stay on his good side. There's going to be opportunity in the future. But then, and I checked Zillow and it did say pending sale. And then like 2 days later, it went back to saying for sale by owner. So I know I need to call him back. I just don't know what to say where I'm not like insulting him, like, oh, what happened with your, is it sold? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
So-
I need like the words. And like, I don't even know where to go with it.
So I guess my question, Debbie, would be, if you did know what to say to him and you called him back, what would you say?
I mean, here's what I'm thinking. It literally just needs to say, hey, I saw that the property is showing up as for sale by owner as if it's back on the market. Is it back on the market? And
Yes,
if
it is.
Yes, it is. Okay. So when we spoke originally, you said you'd give it 2 months and we're on day 61. So I've already previewed it. I've already done a quick little video. I think it's time that we have a serious conversation about getting this house sold for you by a professional agent so that you can go on and make your next investment. Are
Okay,
you able to meet this Saturday?
All right, so I'm gonna pause her for a second. Didn't Debbie just get on here and say, I don't know what to say to this person? I think you just did a pretty good job there. I only have like really like one piece of feedback. First of all, trust your gut. You know what to say. Stop overthinking this. You could call and say exactly what you said and you'd be great. Okay. The only thing I would add to it is when I told you, yeah, the house is back on the market, be a little bit more interested. What happened? Why did it fall through? Because what he's going to answer may help you get the listing. I might say, well, the buyers, they weren't able to perform. I might, whatever it is, I'm going to give you some information that you can use to actually secure the listing. You know, Mr. Seller, one thing I do for all my clients, when we get an offer and I get that pre-approval letter, I don't just accept the offer. What you're hiring me to do is make sure they're the best buyer. So I'm on the phone with their lender. I'm making sure that they have done all the checking and they put it through underwriting. Whatever you're checking into, show them what you do, the steps that you take to make sure that buyer can make it through to the closing table. Show them why they would even want to hire you. Show them what your value is. So I would find out a little bit more by asking some questions. What happened? Why did it fall apart? How did you evaluate the offer? And then that sets you up to talk about what you do and how you can help him. But Debbie, what you said was fine. Trust yourself.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have any feedback for Debbie besides what I said? If you do, you can just unmute. If not, I'm going to go to Renee.
Call him today.
Exactly. Like after this call right now, when that's fresh in your head, call him right now.
I think another good point is to highlight, like he said to you 2 months ago, and here you are 2 months and 1 day. That goes to show you, do you want me? Because I'm really working. I'm here. I'm watching the market. I know what's happening. I'm doing my job. Like, prove your self-worth to him, I guess, in that call. And if you have rapport, it's gonna make him think. Like you said 2 months, we had 2 months and 1 day. It's a provocative question that he's gonna have to say something to you.
Absolutely.
But I think you did great.
Absolutely. And you can also point out, hey, if you were looking to buy homes in their neighborhood and you saw a house that was on the market for a month or so, and then it went under contract and then it came back on the market, what would you think about that house? And he's going to tell you, I think something's wrong, maybe. Exactly. And that's what buyers are going to maybe think about your home. So we got to make sure the next time we put it on the market, it actually sells. Because if they think something's wrong, do you think they're going to pay full market value? No, they're not. So we can kind of create that and introduce that into the conversation as well. Renee, what's your thing?
So I was calling expired and they were just basically like, oh, we're not gonna sell it anymore. We're just gonna keep it. So I went to asking questions, like, oh, where were you guys planning on going if you did sell? They were just like, yeah, we're not gonna sell, we're just gonna keep it. We'll probably wait till after election. And then I stated, when I went to state something else, they just said, yeah, again, I'm not selling, I'm gonna keep it, and they hung up.
Okay. So did you ask the question? One question I like to ask when someone says that to me, if I brought a buyer to you today and they gave you a full price cash offer, would you accept it or just stay? Because what I'm looking to do is find motivation to see how serious they are.
I did, and then his response was, I'm not selling it, we're gonna keep it.
Okay. But he also said, we're going to wait until after the election. What's important about waiting until after the election? Did you ask that question? Did he happen to tell you?
No, because he just hung up.
Okay. So here's a good thing, Renee. You can always call back. Call him back. Hey, I was thinking about you because you mentioned that you wanted to wait. You're not interested in selling. I understand that. I respect that. My question is, what's important to you about waiting until after the election in November? And then listen, see what he tells you.
Okay.
Right? Because he might say, I want to wait until interest rates go down. If interest rates go down, what's going to happen with prices, guys?
Go up.
They're going to go up. So then I would start asking questions like, when you sell this house, are you buying something else? Because if he's waiting for prices to go up, he's going to end up paying more too. So it's better to get the property sold now in this market where it's to his advantage because it's a seller's market. He can get top dollar than waiting to see what happens. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't predict the market. If we could, none of us would be on this call. We all be retired. We'd be rich. We can't, we don't know the future. Brianna, go ahead.
No, honestly, I've been getting that that as a response a lot as well. Like, oh, wait until like the interest rates go down, blah blah blah. So definitely been dealing with that. What I've been dealing with like a lot of for rent by owners. Actually, I've seen like a lot of signs up and as I'm driving through showing other properties, I'll see like, oh, for rent by owner sign. So I'll go have a conversation with that owner, and a lot of the times it's, well, we don't really need anybody. We're good. We have like applications coming in, this, that, and the third. And I guess I'm struggling a little bit with, I know the fact that it's all benefit for a landlord to hire an agent, as far as you don't have to pay for advertising, you don't have to pay the commission, like literally nothing's coming out of your pocket. And I know that. I'm struggling with showing that value to a client when they're just like really gung-ho about doing them themselves.
I find this is where the script feel, felt, found could be very valuable. Do you have any stories where there was a landlord that felt like they could do a better job at their own, but it turned out to be a nightmare for them? Do you have any situations that you've heard about or personally experienced?
Mm-hmm.
Because then I would say, hey, I understand why you feel this way. I've had other landlords that have felt the same way. However, what they found is that because they didn't have the proper methods to vet those people, they got someone in their place that didn't pay, and it took us 3 months to get them out, and they lost so much money. And the people that hire me, I do a great job making sure I get the right tenants in their property that can actually afford to be there. And so I understand that you don't see the value, and yet I'm sure from that example I just gave you, you can understand the benefit. You can use that type of script to talk them through it. I think that's why it's so important that we go in the office and we work around other agents, because we can hear their stories and what they've experienced. It doesn't have to be something that happened directly to us, but we can use that. I understand why you feel that way. Other people have felt that way. Here's what they found. And that can help you break through a lot of times through storytelling, if that makes sense.
Sounds good. I know, Lauren, you were doing like this a little bit. Did you have something to also add?
I like those little alligator.
So because I'm like, I do so many rentals, and I feel like I've mastered rentals, and I just can't figure out why I can't master listings. But in the rental side, also come to them explaining your value. Like, so something I do is like, did you know a house that, so a couple of plays, but one of the plays is like, I'm going to qualify a tenant. I'm going to draw up a lease. Like, explain to them the actual work you're going to do for them. Like, do you have a lease? Most of them will be like, oh no, well, you can find them on the internet. Like, they'll say weird things that then you know, and you can stop them in their tracks quickly. Another play that I do is propose out the numbers, like show them the numbers, right? So a house that is a no broker fee to a client, so a tenant that you're bringing in, is going to rent much faster than your landlord paying you your fee. And so when you break that down and you break down the numbers to them, I love numbers. Like I'm such a numbers person. You can show them the value of how much faster you would rent that home. And I did that with someone. Literally, I went to pick up my kid from school, and I walked up the street, and I was like, it was like a nice day, and I was like, oh, for my own. And I was on the phone with my friend. I was like, let me call you back. And I called the person. He's like, no, he was so hard. Turns out to be he was an hour away, so he couldn't show the property. Like, it was all these adversions. Then I was like, let me just see it, because I do so many rentals. I literally walked out of there with keys. He understood, and someone called him, and he just couldn't even show it. And I was like, you don't even have the time to show it. So how are you going to rent this in 30 days if you need the money yesterday?
I love that,
And
Lauren.
it was just done. It was literally done. So just show them the value of what you're doing to them and explain to them, if you want it, you may not have to. I can charge the tenant the fee. Okay, just test me that way you want. It's gonna take longer. However, if you pay me your fee, most likely this will be rented in 30 days.
Okay, a
And
couple things. Lauren, number one, if you haven't mastered the listing, I have Push starting up on July 9th. You need to talk to me about Push. I put my website in the chat. So I was going to say that, number one. Number two, I know Matt had his hand up, Beverly and Brianna. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We're supposed to end at 9:30. So if you have to bounce, go ahead and bounce. Let me see here.
Yeah, Matt, I agree. How does she?
Okay, I have this recorded. I just panicked. I was like, did I hit record? So I have it recorded. So if you have to leave, I'll send the recording out to you on Wednesday. But I want to respect everyone that had their hands raised and make sure we get to them. So I'm gonna go to Matt, Beverly, and then Brianna. So Matt, what do you have?
All right, I got a curveball today. This one's a different one. So you're at an open house and you have an agent walk up to you and ask you, how many black people live on the block?
Ooh.
None of your business. It has zero bearing on anything.
And you better be careful how y'all answer these questions, because I've heard several people getting sued and losing their license with these testers that are going out there. Don't touch that.
Yeah, literally at my open house in Roselle, somebody, it was during a time where it was pretty busy too. So we had like a family upstairs, a family downstairs, two families in the living room. And one of them comes in and he goes, well, I see a lot of Hispanic people around this neighborhood. Is that kind of what this looks like? And I was like, well, the neighbors are very varied and very diverse, and I'm sure you'll fit right into the neighborhood. Please don't ask that question again while we're in a big crowd.
Yeah.
So
how should we answer that though? Like politically?
Yeah, I want to know what y'all said, because I got that, but I want to know what you guys say.
Well, I want to say
something
quickly. I had someone very recently at my open house ask me a very direct question about this. What kind of a race lives in this neighborhood? So, and they had a realtor with them who was standing there quietly and didn't say anything. So I looked at her and I told them, respectfully, I cannot answer this question. I can get my license suspended. If you want to know anything, you can go online and check, or you can ask your realtor about that. So very straight, just that. But it was and I checked that with Sally, our broker also. She said that, yeah, you have to be very straightforward and tell them that straight, we cannot answer that question. You have any information, go online and check. I can get my license suspended for that.
And I think that's the best response.
Yeah.
That's the best response. They already asked their agent. That's why their agent was being quiet to see if you would answer it.
Yeah.
Like get on Google that shit. Like figure it out yourself. I'm not answering that. Okay. All right. Thank you there. Who was next? I think Beverly.
Okay, so I'll make it quick. I know everyone's pressed for time. I had this strange for sale by owner who basically thought that there was another condo in the building that sold for extraordinarily high price, and that buyer agent who brought the buyer in, he's considering hiring that one. He said because she's the one that brings people in that can get it sold. And I'm saying, well, she's a buyer agent. I'm thinking in my head, why is he? But he in his head is thinking, yeah, okay. She brings in the buyers who can actually buy my home. She knows the buyers who get this area and will get it.
But does she though? Because your home it's not sold.
Right. Well, I'm going to give it to her because she's going to bring the buyers in. I'm going to give it to her.
But she hasn't brought the buyers in. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, because as a for sale by owner, I understand how you see it. Like this is someone who's actively bringing buyers in. Are they doing that to get the listing? Because if they were actively bringing buyers that were financially ready and could perform and buy your house would be sold already, wouldn't it? Same thing for all the other agents that are calling saying they have buyers for your property. If they truly had them, your house would be sold. I wouldn't even be here talking to you right now.
Right.
The question you should be asking is, what am I doing to sell all the listings that I had? Because that's what you want. You want someone who's going to get the job done to get the property sold, don't you? So let's have a conversation about what I do to get property sold. Not what I do to bring buyers in, what I do to actually get it to the closing table. That's what you want. Something along those lines. See you, Ramsey. I know you got to go. I would just push back on that. I don't know if you're agreeing with that. Beverly's kind of like, oh no, David.
No, I'm agreeing. I didn't want to keep talking. I'm totally agreeing. I'm trying to process if I should really call him back and talk to him. I mean, we had a good conversation there. He's like, listen, I really like you. I think you're great, but she brought that buyer in and got the highest price in the building. So I might have to go with her.
Yeah, well, listen.
She doesn't experience selling. She doesn't.
So listen, even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? Show him that what you've done. You have a good business. Show him what you've done for your clients. Maybe even call some of your clients and have them advocate for you. Like, hey, I got this guy I want to list with, and he's thinking about listing with someone else. If I give him your number, would you talk to him about why you chose me and what I did for you?
Hey, Beverly, I have a question about that. Is his house on the market now for sale by owner, or he's not listed yet?
He was for sale by owner, and not sure if he actually took it off yet or not, but he was for sale by owner. He was trying to sell it himself.
Because I was wondering that, he was saying how this lady brings all these buyers in the building. Well, if you're not on the open market, she may not even know about your place. Like maybe it's the marketing part that's not attracting her to bring them to his place.
Yeah. Or do you just want one buyer, or do you want me to bring you multiple buyers so you can choose who buys your house? Like, let me show you what I do for my clients. And guys, by the way, if you haven't looked in the chat, Pete's put some great information in the chat. You need to be reading that too. If you guys haven't looked at it, make sure you look at it. Kim, whose hand was up? I think it was Kim, and then someone else had their hand up.
No, I was just going to just touch upon when they said about the open house. I think it's great information, yes, to check online, but also I would maybe suggest that, perhaps it would behoove them if they just drive the neighborhood at night and talk to some of the neighbors and see, if there's children and what type of community it is.
I would just tell them, get online and do some research.
Yeah.
Like, just keep it short and sweet. Don't even touch it. I wouldn't say too much because I don't know what you can and can't say. I don't want to risk you getting in trouble. So the safest thing is I can't answer that question. That's what Google's for.
Mm-hmm. And then on Beverly, if she was to say, okay, can maybe give you 2 weeks for her to bring a buyer, and if not, I'd love to work with you. Could something like that maybe work?
It could, except if she brings a buyer in 2 weeks and you missed out on getting the listing. I don't want to give that option. I want to get in there and not give an option for someone else to bring in a buyer. That's just me personally. I love the interaction at the end, and I can tell that you guys are out doing your job and making your calls. We need more of that for next week. We need more real life scenarios that you guys are actually dealing with. So as you make your calls this next week, do us a favor and write down those tough questions, those scenarios, those situations that come up that you don't know how to handle. And let's talk about them next week on Friday. I hope you guys found today valuable. I know we went a little over. I wanted to get everyone an opportunity to speak. I appreciate you guys. And if anybody's interested in learning how to become a listing master and overcome scripts and objections, I put my website in there. I got pushed starting up July 9th. I think we currently have 30 people enrolled. I'll be shutting down registration on the 5th of July. So you have a couple more weeks to actually register. After that, we're shutting down registration. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great weekend. And I challenge you this as we get off the phone. Look on Zillow, find a for sale by owner that's having an open house this weekend. Go to their open house with your script. And as they're giving you the tour of the house, go through and start asking the questions that are on the script. When you sell this house, where are you moving to? Why is that important? Go through your script and find out if they're a motivated seller. And if they are, before you leave, set up a listing appointment. Brianna going to one in Wayne today. That's what I'm talking about. I got an amazing listing in Wayne. It was an expired term FSBO. And I got that listing. I'll tell you guys a story about it next week because I don't want to keep the call going any longer. I love Wayne. Go get it. Go get it. All right, guys. I will see you later on. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys got value. Appreciate y'all. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.